I'd like to welcome everyone, say good evening to all our Terps. We're glad that so many of you decided to spend some time with us this evening and your fellow alums for our cocktail making session with Sagamore Spirit. We plan on having some fun this evening, but as always, there are a few housekeeping items. I ask that you remain on mute unless you have a question. You can also make use of the chat feature, and I will help get those questions answered. Please feel free to leave your cameras on. And lastly, I just wanted to let everyone know, in case you hadn't noticed the little button, that the session will be recorded. As I mentioned earlier, I will send everyone who attends the session and everyone that was registered a link so that you can make these drinks again in the future. Our brand ambassador for this evening is Kia. So without further ado, I will turn it over to Kia and Sagamore Spirit.
Hello, everyone. How are we feeling? Nice. I like all the thumbs up. That's awesome. Well, hopefully we feel even better after we are done with our cocktails today. Again, my name is Kia. I am a brand ambassador here at the distillery. We always have a lot of things happening here at the distillery, meaning we have tours, of course, cocktail classes in person, and as well as other experiences that I hope that you'll be able to join us very soon throughout the year. But today, of course, is our virtual cocktail class. We have a lot of things that we have received in your kit today. I'm gonna go over a few things, but more importantly, we're gonna go over the whiskey that you'll be having today in your drinks. So if everyone has their kit, and again, I sincerely apologize to you, Miss Phaedra, about not receiving your kit. But if we can, all of us that do have our kits, if you would like to make sure you have everything you need, again, I'm gonna go down the list to make sure we all have everything. But the fun thing about making cocktails at home is you get to do whatever you want. And honestly, I'm a little jealous because I have a favorite coffee mug that I like to mix my cocktails in. But again, feel free to even show me some things that you are substituting within this chat. I'm just going to share it in the chat. If you want to hold it up in the camera to show everyone what you're doing to be a little creative, I would love to see that as well. But first, what I would like to introduce is the whiskey, because that's super important in your cocktail. And you should have received two different expressions today. Expression just means a different variation of the same spirit. So one, we are going to be trying our signature 83 proof. You all should have gotten some bottles that look a lot like this in your kit. So we're actually going to start with the white label signature rye. Everyone has one in their kit, correct? If I can just see some thumbs up going across the screen. Oh, nice. Awesome. That was in unison. It looked beautiful. Nice. So with this signature, if you would like, we are going to, oh, someone got a whole bottle. I love it. Nice. Awesome. So for those of us who don't have a whole bottle, what we're going to do is we're actually going to try this whiskey. I'm going to teach you how to taste it as well, because it wouldn't be a tasting without learning how to actually enjoy the whiskey. So if you would all like to crack open your sample today. This signature is 83 proof, and like a traditional rye, we formulated this one to be like a traditional rye, which is a little bit spicy. But here at Sagamore, we make a Maryland style rye. So what does that even mean, right? Well, Maryland style rye simply means that we add a little bit of sweetness to balance out some of the spice that your traditional rye will give you. We add that sweetness by incorporating corn into our mash bill. Mash bill simply means a recipe, and that corn is allowed to bring in some different levels of flavor just to enjoy the rye whiskey as a whole. So as I mentioned, this one is formulated to be like a traditional rye, which is a little spicy up front. So from the signature, you can get some of that cinnamon feeling. I like to compare them to like the baking spices, so more of like a clove, nutmeg as well. And on the back end, since we are a Maryland style rye, that balance is going to come in by introducing a little bit of vanilla, could also be caramel, and as well as some orange or citrus that'll really open up this expression to be very approachable, which is one reason why we call it the signature. But then again, don't feel pressured to taste anything that I'm telling you, because everyone experiences whiskey completely differently. And again, please feel free to share what you're experiencing within the chat or also amongst yourselves, etc. So I'm going to teach you how to actually taste it, right? That's important. So what you want to do when you taste your whiskey, you want to take 3 small sips. So your first 2 sips are called Acclimation Sips. I personally call them pregame sips, just makes sense to my brain. But your first sip, you want to coat your entire palate. A nice tip for you is to let that whiskey glide across the tongue nice and slow, and it'll go down very nicely, just so your taste buds can kind of understand, okay, it's a lot of shock that's gonna happen, but also what parts of the palate have to pay attention to the flavors that are incorporated into this whiskey. Your second sip actually is very familiar to the first. It's gonna have a lot of heat incorporated into it, but I promise it will get easier. That is what the third sip is for. That third sip is what's going to allow your taste buds just to calm down a little bit and be a little more accepting to the flavors that your whiskey has to offer. So as we start to take small sips, and again, if you do have your little sample here of the signature rye, I do ask that you sip very sparingly because this is going to be used in your cocktail today. But as we are sipping along with the whiskey, I would like everyone just to tell me what kind of flavors you're getting, what kind of textures you're getting, and also how you're enjoying it. That's what matters, right? Nice. So again, you can always unmute yourself and just shout to the crowd whatever you're experiencing, or you can always leave that in the chat. And while we're doing this, I would like to introduce my great friend, Christine, who is here with us today. This is Christine. Hi. She will be helping us with the chat feature today, so no one's comments or questions will be missed at all. So Christine or Lena will be helping us within the chat.
Happy Thirsty Thursday, all.
So how's everybody feeling about the signature so far? Nice, I'm getting thumbs up. Beautiful. I'm glad to see that. I got someone talking.
It was good.
Nice, I'm glad you like it, because at this point we almost have no choice, because that's just what I gave you for today. But we're actually now gonna level up a little bit. Now that our taste buds are like, yeah, I can handle this, whiskey's great, we're gonna hop on over to our cask strength, which is the second expression that was provided to you today in your kit. It has the black label on it. Cask strength, very simple. Cask means barrel, strength means proof. Simply meaning as soon as whiskey comes out of the barrel, it's gonna go straight into the bottle without that proofing process. Here at Sagamore, our experience with the cask strength has been anywhere between 110 to 115 proof. But today, your sample is 112.2. Now I know that seems a little intimidating for some. I saw some eyebrows go up. But I promise this one is actually a little sneaky, for lack of a better phrase. This cask strength, the longer you sip, as I've mentioned, as we're going through those sips, just to level up a little bit, actually gets very smooth, which, depending on who you're talking to, could easily be a pretty slippery slope. But this one is very approachable as well, in my opinion. It does offer some spice, very similar to the signature, where instead of getting that cinnamon that we got, now we're more of like a black pepper allspice. And instead of having that nice subtle vanilla, caramel, or orange within the signature, now we're more of like a dark chocolate, brown sugar, and some people even get espresso. But again, do not feel pressured to taste any of this, because everyone experiences whiskey completely differently. So as we are sipping on our cask, again, I would love to know some feedback that you might have, if you do have any at all. Everyone's doing good so far? Nice. Good thumbs up. Awesome. Was this a little easier than you expected from when I said the proof at first? Nice, I saw a few people shake their head. That's awesome. Great, so, strong, awesome. Christopher Smith in the chat said it is strong. That is awesome. I hope you mean that in the best way possible. But without further ado, now that we're a little familiar with the whiskey, let's get a little more familiar with the cocktails that we're actually going to be making today. So you should also have received a recipe card within your kit. Does have a front and back. We will be making our Sagamore Sour as well as our Sagamore Fizz. You should have some ingredients that I'll go along the list as we, of course, need them. But if you would like to just follow your recipe card in order to make these cocktails, be my guest. I am only here to guide you. Or if you would like to, of course, create with me, I will be voicing everything that I'm doing step by step. So what I will be starting with you all today is our Sagamore Fizz. The Sagamore Fizz is actually going to be featuring our spiced cranberry simple syrup that you all should have gotten. This is actually the simple syrup that is available in our visitor center as well as online if you'd like to purchase again. This is our 16-ounce bottle. We also have it in an 8-ounce. But you should have received this in actually a cute little bottle that looks like this. And it should also be labeled as a cranberry simple syrup, just in case. Nice, nice. So I have a very simple rule when it comes to making cocktails. You can't really forget it. It's just one rule, right? And it's called cheap stuff first. That's easy, right? Just in case you ever have to, alter anything, or if you kind of messed up, did a wrong measurement, it is okay. The whiskey is safe because you didn't add it yet, right? So what we're gonna do is our fizz actually calls for some fruit. So in your little kit, I almost said garnish bin, you are not in real life, hello. So in your kit, you should have received some fruit as well. So I have a lime here that I'm actually gonna cut in front of you, just so you can see how easy this is to make at home as well. So our Sagamore Fizz is gonna call for 1/2 ounce, so a 1/2 ounce of lime juice, which is about 1/2 of a lime. Oh, I see, oh yeah, you got it right, awesome. I've never said that before in my life, but here we are. So I'm going to take my lime, simply cut it in half. And also what I'm going to do is, I'm gonna cut myself a garnish because I'm not as fancy as you all and I have to do it on my own. So I am going to cut myself a little garnish and actually show you a few other ways to garnish your cocktail a little later today. I'm going to cut that, leave this to the side. And I'm going to take that 1/2 a lime that I just cut, and I'm going to introduce it to my hand juicer. Now, I said I'm fancy today, but only because I am here at the distillery, but I do have some fun alternatives that I have at home that I like to use. For example, sometimes I just like to muddle my fruit, especially if I have an unexpected paper cut. It happens. But you can always just use your hand to hand juice it, or whatever you may have. Even if you have an electric juicer, I am jealous of you. But I am going to place this lime into my hand juicer, and I'm going to introduce it into my mixing glass. Now I have this mixing glass because I want to create my cocktail in a separate vessel than the cup, because there can be some straining involved later, and also some chilling, just in case you don't want ice to be incorporated into your cocktail. This is a great way to chill your cocktail and still not have ice while you enjoy it. So I'm going to juice my lime right into this mixing glass. Very simple. Also using just regular lime juice that you may get from a grocery store if it's concentrate. I personally don't recommend because it's a little more pungent in my opinion, but fresh lime is always the way to go. And of course, it's pretty cheap as well if you're on a budget. Remember, cheap stuff first. So now that I have my lime juice, I'm now going to incorporate my cranberry simple syrup that I introduced to you a little earlier today. So our recipe calls for 1 ounce of cranberry simple syrup. And right now, we'd like to kind of guide you back to the kit where you may have gotten a nice little chart that shows you some different measurements. So I've already said earlier today, we'll be using about 1/2 ounce of that lime juice. So it's pretty easy because, it's a 1/2 a lime, you really don't have to measure that. But in the case that you do not have a jigger, which is this beautiful measuring tool that I will be using, and again, we do sell this one as well in the visitor center as well as online. But if you do not have a jigger, you can use tablespoons or other measuring cups, whatever you may have at home. Like I said, please be creative and please show me because you might teach me something as well. So 1/2 ounce is about 1 tablespoon. Since we're using 1 ounce of this cranberry simple syrup, it's just 2 tablespoons, right? Or 4 teaspoons. I know math.
Tia,
So, yes.
we had a question in the chat and Christopher wanted to know, do you put ice in the mixing glass or shaker?
Oh, yes. So I will be introducing that part once we put all the ingredients in for the purpose of not diluting our cocktail prematurely. That's a great question. I'm glad that you asked that. And if any of you don't have ice as of yet, now would be a great time to grab it so that way we get shaken or get mixing however you are doing that today at home. But I'm going to now grab my jigger and I'm going to measure out that 1 ounce of cranberry simple syrup. Now, me personally, I do like things a little sweeter, kind of have a pending sugar addiction. We don't have to talk about it, but I am now going to pour right into my mixing glass where that lime juice was squeezed, okay? I'm gonna put that to the side for 1 second.
Can you repeat the measurements if they're using a tablespoon?
Oh, yes, absolutely. So
Thank
if
you.
you don't have the paper that has all the measurements in them or the approximate measurements, depending on what you're using at home. So I used 1 ounce of this cranberry simple syrup, which measures to be about 2 tablespoons or about 6 teaspoons. So however you can measure that, or even if you're a really good cook, if you know how to eyeball it, because you know sometimes I don't trust myself, that is also a great option. But yeah, sometimes I like to add a little extra of the cranberry because it just sweetens it up a little bit more. But today we're just gonna keep it mellow, keep it by the book, and of course by what you have in front of you.
Which rye?
Now that I have my,
I'm sorry. Which rye do you recommend using for this one? The
oh yes, so
signature or the
I would be
cast?
recommending the signature rye. We'll be using the signature rye for this one, just because it's gonna kind of allow that cranberry and other of the lime's flavor to really pull through to this cocktail. The cask will kind of overpower it with some of that spirit forwardness, which I'll kind of explain the differences once we create the second cocktail. Awesome, great question. Thank you so much for asking that. Nice. So now that I have my lime juice and I have my cranberry simple syrup, I am now going to add some whiskey. That sounds simple, right? So our recipe card calls for 1.5 ounces. So I'm going to grab my jigger again, but then again, you should have a chart in front of you that will allow you to choose how you would like to measure out your 1.5 ounces, whether it's 44 milliliters, or you have that 3 tablespoons and 9 teaspoons, however you feel like measuring that. But since I have my jigger, I'm going to take my signature rye whiskey, which is that white label that we had earlier today, and I'm going to measure my 1.5 ounces. I have 1 here, and I have a half here. Nice. Boom. So we have some whiskey, we have some cranberry simple syrup, and we have some lime juice. Seems like we're ready to get mixing. You guys ready to start mixing? Or even shaking? Again, please show me how you are doing this today if you do not have any of these tools with you. I love the creativity and also I love the humor in it. So I am going to take 1 scoop of ice and incorporate it into my mixing glass, because the whole point of the ice is just to chill the cocktail. That's all we need it for. Unless of course you like your cocktails on ice, which in this case, I will be putting mine on ice as well. So as I put 1 scoop in my mixing glass, I will also fill my highball glass that I have today. If you have a highball glass, even if you have a drinking glass, again, I do have a favorite mug that I typically drink my cocktails in, but again, whatever you feel like filling today, I would love to see what you're drinking out of. So I'm going to take 1 scoop of ice here into the mixing glass and fill the highball glass.
John would like to know, does he pour in the entire bottle?
Oh, the entire bottle, absolutely. The entire bottle is beautiful, of the miniature, of course. So, yes, this is actually basically measured out for the entire cocktail. So whatever you didn't taste earlier today can be incorporated into this entire cocktail. If that's how you're feeling this evening, of course.
We want to know if it's 1 per cocktail or 1 bottle per 2 cocktails.
Ah, it is 1 per cocktail. That is a great question as well. Thank you so much. Awesome. So now that I have my ice in my mixing glass, I'm going to take my bar spoon. You can use a longer, like slated spoon if you have one. Oh yes, I like your bar spoon. Nice. I love it. You could also use any spoon that has a longer stem to it. I've actually used chopsticks before. This was before I kind of got deeper into actually appreciating the art of making cocktails. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to place the back of my spoon on the glass as I mix, because as I mentioned, we only want to chill the cocktail, not dilute it. And breaking up the glass is what's going to help it break down even further. So I'm going to show you exactly what I mean. I'm going to place the spoon on the back of the glass, and it'll stay in contact with the back of the glass as I mix. A nice tip for you, since I have a spiraled spoon, everyone may not have one, but it is spiraled for a reason. I like to hold it very gently in between my thumb and my index finger, and I'll use my middle finger to push the spoon around the glass, just so it's easier to stir. just like that. Nice. I see everyone strategically mixing, and it's such a beautiful thing to see. Nice. Awesome. And once you have everything mixed up, doesn't have to be anything serious, I'm going to stop mixing. For those of us who decided to shake our cocktails, shaking it is actually a great way to include a little more texture into your cocktail. Kind of frost it up a little bit and honestly makes it more fun, especially if you didn't go to the gym that morning. It's kind of like an even compromise, but I will now take my strainer. This is called a Hawthorne strainer, specifically to strain your cocktails. If you have a slated spoon, that'd be great. If you just want to use your hand, awesome. Or if you have great balancing skills, I would love to see that. But I'm going to take my Hawthorne strainer with the coil side down, and I'll have the handle facing away from the spout, just so I can pour evenly into the glass. I'm going to grab that highball glass that I filled earlier with ice. I'm going to pour right over top of it. So the entire cocktail will be in the glass. Nice. So, as you can see, this doesn't look like what you paid for, does it? There is still more room in this glass. No worries. That is what the club soda is for. So in order to have the fizz, yes, there we go. In order to have the fizz in your cranberry fizz, the club soda is going to serve that purpose. So what I like to do, since I like to make cocktails for my Instagram page, because, you know, I want my credit where it's due. So I am going to gently pour into my glass to have a nice gradient effect. If you really don't care and you just want the fizz, there's no need to gently pour. Or you can also, if you would like to gently pour, just to grab a picture of it, you can use your bar spoon or whatever you used earlier in the class to just incorporate some of those bubbles a little later. So what I mean about gently pouring is I'm literally going to pour very slowly just so they can stay a little bit separated, just to have a nice gradient effect in the cocktail. So I'm carefully pouring. And as you can see, the club soda is kind of staying separate here. Nice. And boom. See? That seems simple, right? Awesome. And earlier, I did cut a garnish for myself, but you also could have gotten a garnish of this. All I did was from that half a lime I cut, I used the other half to make a little wheel, and I also cut a little slit in it so I can stick onto the glass. Or if you're super fancy, which sometimes I like to have around the house because you never know who's gonna knock on your door and ask for a cocktail. True story, actually. But you can also dehydrate your fruit. It's very easy to dehydrate. One, if you have a dehydrator, it's even easier. But it is also very easy to cut your fruit and dehydrate them in the oven. And you can actually store them in an airtight container and they'll stay good for months. So this is a dried lime wheel. I'm just gonna put it on here just so it can be cute for my picture later, and boom. That is your first cocktail for this evening, well, at least with me. And I hope that you enjoy it. How'd everyone's turn out? Oh, nice, everyone has a little gradient going on. This is awesome. Oh, that is beautiful. And that rocks glass. Let me see your name, Mr. John. Yes, I love that. That is beautiful. Nice. Now that everyone's come out, that it tastes good, right? Very refreshing, super light. Nice. Awesome. So do we have any questions so far while we are enjoying this cocktail before we get to the next one? Has anyone been to the distillery before?
Does it make a difference whether the club soda is chilled or room temperature?
That is all a preference. Typically, I like mine to be a little chilled because I did chill the rest of the cocktail so it doesn't do a weird, almost room temperature, almost cold thing. So mine is personally chilled, but room temperature, there is no difference.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
It is a delicious, tastes great.
Oh, nice. I'm glad everyone's tastes great. Awesome. So I think I saw a few thumbs up. We have had some people familiar to the distillery, right? So we've had people taking tours.
I haven't done it yet, but I do plan to do it.
Nice. I highly recommend. And as I was saying a little earlier today, we also have a lot of other events that happen as well. I don't know if anyone's been outside today, but it kind of got a little sneak peek of some warm weather, which is kind of a tease because I know it's supposed to be cold again tomorrow. But speaking of the warm weather, we do have whiskey on the Waterfront, which is a very big event we do once a month throughout the summer. Where we have live bands, vendors, of course, tours, and our bar goes outside to the patio, so you can always enjoy that. We also have glass blowing classes once it gets warm outside. And we have those once a month all the way until it gets cold again. So that's even longer, right? And this weekend, we actually have a few events happening. So we have a mixer class, which is not cocktails per se, but kind of a step above cocktails for those of us who just want to pour it and get it over with, right? So is anyone familiar with Kane Collective? Nah. Christine's familiar. Nice. So Kane Collective is a mixer company that actually started during the pandemic. It's a group of bartenders who, of course, couldn't bartend because there's no one to bartend for, but their passion didn't stop. They decided to make mixers so that people can enjoy cocktails in the safety and luxury of their own homes. All they had to do was add their own alcohol, right? So Kane Collective has actually grown since they've started, which is amazing. They're actually in a few different states now, and also in a lot of local shops. All of their mixers are natural with no added sugars or preservatives, which is amazing. They have the most phenomenal flavors. We actually partnered with them to create our canned cocktails. If you're not familiar with our canned cocktails, again, they are here at the Visitor Center, as well as online and at some of your local liquor shops. But Kane Collective they're actually coming this Saturday for a mixer class where you can actually come here to Sagamore. You can make your own unique mixer with plenty of ingredients of different things that you can concoct, of course, to your liking. You take a whole bottle of a mixer home as well as a bottle of Sagamore, and you get to learn a few things about what a cocktail even is, right? Awesome. Yes.
Jeffrey would like to know why our bottles say partially distilled in Kentucky if we claim to have a distillery in Baltimore.
Oh, that's beautiful. That's a great question. So yes, specifically I have one, this one says, okay, that one says both, this one says both. Well, story is here at Sagamore, we actually are celebrating our 5-year anniversary in April, which we are going to party about it. So I hope you come for that. But that means since our distillery is very new, it was built from the ground up, like a lot of things here at Port Covington. We had to take some time to build and have everything custom made to us, which means once we opened, we kind of had to have something to sell because it would suck to open up a visitor center that sells whiskey and there's no whiskey yet. So we decided to partner with MGP, which is a third-party distiller based in Indiana. So what happened was we decided to, of course, take everything regarding our mash bill, water, etc., and take it over to MGP because they already had equipment and we didn't. So once we drew up that contract, we had to do our distilling over there, but everything as far as the aging, bottling, even most of the grains, etc., still did come from us. So that is why our bottles do say distilled in Indiana, but depending on which bottle you have, for example, the bottle that I have in front of me says distilled in Maryland and Indiana. We still do have a lot of back stock from MGP that of course we're pushing because we have it. But since our whiskey is aged for at least 4 years, and we are now past the 4-year mark, we're able to start incorporating our distillate within our whiskey. So we're doing that by blending with what we have from Indiana, and soon and very soon that'll be phased out to where will be 100% Maryland distilled whiskey. But that is why you do see that it was distilled in Indiana currently. Is there any other answers? Let's try that again. Are there any other questions that I may be able to answer for you all?
Can you buy empty barrels?
Can you buy empty barrels? Absolutely, please take them all. we do sell our barrels once everything is said and done with them. And people literally do whatever they want. So if you would like to purchase one, they are available online as well as in the visitor center. And they sell actually very fast. So it's always recommended that you would give us a call to make sure that we have them in stock, and also to schedule when you would like that to be picked up. It's a lot of us wonderful, busy ladies here. So it would be appreciated if we could schedule them just so we know what outfit we should wear that day, because barrel rust is not easy to get out. Awesome. Oh, someone has a barrel? Oh my gosh, that was perfect. Nice. That is awesome. And it's so beautiful. Nice. Yes, we sell the berries. All right.
Tanya wants to know what else you do with the barrels.
Oh, that's a better question. So here's a fun fact for you. If you would like to come down for a tour, you'll actually see an example of what people do with the barrels. So we had a gentleman come in during the pandemic, and he bought like 7 barrels, right? So he decided, I'm not doing anything, I might as well make something out of these barrels. So he decided to deconstruct all of the barrels and create a giant, like, picture thing, I don't know how to describe it, of the Maryland flag made completely out of the barrels. And it is very beautiful. And he took all the charring that was in that barrel and made a painting out of it. So he painted a Sagamore bottle, actually it was the cast strength here, solely from the charring of the inside of the barrels. All the smaller pieces that he had left, he actually made a smaller version of that Maryland flag, and it is actually for sale here at the distillery. So yeah, people do anything with the barrels, really. It just depends on how wild your imagination can get. Nice. Are we ready for another cocktail? Yeah, nice. So now we'll be creating our Sagamore Sour. Personally, is one of my favorite drinks. It is my go-to, which is why I'm super excited to make this one. But also, we are making it with our cask strength this time. I like incorporating a cask strength into this specific cocktail because it adds a little bit more of that spirit-forward flavor. Or it simply means that you're trying to expedite your evening, however you want to say that. But it definitely incorporates that booze taste that you're trying to get, but it does not compromise the flavor of the cocktail that you want to enjoy. So please feel free as well to get a bottle of cask and try in any of your favorite cocktails just to see how well it may pair with anything that you might enjoy. So without further ado, we're actually going to start making this sour. So I am now going to grab my lemons because, remember, cheap stuff first, right? So with these lemons, our recipe card calls for 1 ounce of a fresh lemon. 1 ounce is 1 whole lemon. So that's pretty easy, right? So I have both halves, and once again, I have my hand juicer, which is very easy to find if you would like to get a hand juicer on your own. But I'm going to first get rid of this ice that I used earlier. Boom. Fresh mixing glass. And now I'm going to juice that lemon in that mixing glass. Boom. Squeeze 1. You guys want to know some fun facts about lemons? Yeah? Nice. So 1, lemon is a great mood enhancer. Using lemon essential oils is actually great for just brightening up your day. So if you're having a long day, your boss is getting on your nerves, your kids keep asking for snacks that you just got from the grocery store, it's a whole thing. If you smell some lemon, it'll bring your mood up just a little bit. Also, lemon is one of the fastest ways to find out if you have a paper cut. Go figure, right? Nice. So now that I have my whole lemon squeezed, oh, I love your hand juicer. It is so pretty. Nice. Now that I have my whole lemon squeezed, I am now going to go, yes, we have a question.
John wants you to know that limes generally have no seeds, but lemons almost always have seeds.
Yes, I actually found that out like a few weeks ago. I was like, wow, that's a today years old moment. I definitely have been like around lemons and limes my whole life and never realized that I'd never had a lime seed problem until I realized. Great fun fact.
Angela's lemon has no seeds.
Really? Oh, I think mine definitely does have seeds, but that is what the strainer is for. So now I'm going to introduce our honey simple syrup. So you should have received again in one of these little bottles, that honey syrup. And our recipe is going to call for about 3/4 of an ounce, so 1.75 ounces. Again, I like my things to be a little sweeter, so I might OD just a little bit. But if you would like to measure out that 1.75, it's about 22 milliliters or 1.5 tablespoons or about 4.5 teaspoons. Again, however you want to measure it, again, if you eyeball it, or if you just want to keep tasting it until it tastes okay, that's completely fine with me. One way I like to mix up this cocktail a little bit, because it is my favorite cocktail, I want to play around with it to see if you can make other things. I like to use a honey ginger simple syrup. Kind of like a penicillin action here. Has anyone ever had a penicillin before? Not the actual medication, but the cocktail. Nice. So today I actually am going to be using some honey ginger simple syrup, personal preference here. And I am going to be doing 1 full ounce because this is a craft your own cocktail class, right? So don't ever feel pressured to just play by the rules and do what other people tell you to do, unless you kind of have to because laws exist. But yeah, feel free to mix up your cocktail and of course share in the chat your favorite cocktail and how you would like to customize it to what you like to drink. So now that I have my lemon juice and my honey simple syrup, it's time for some whiskey. This one's pretty simple, right? So once again, we'll be trying our cask strength for this one. Yeah. So we're gonna add a little bit more booze this time, again with 1.5 ounces. So I'm going to measure out my one.
John wants to know if tar heels are allowed to sample from Carolina.
If who's allowed to sample?
Tar heels, I think that's Duke or UNC.
That is hilarious. Oh
Like
my
not
goodness.
Maryland Terrace.
Yeah, no, this is a strictly Terp situation. So I would like for anyone else that's not affiliated to like maybe drink that. You know? But here we are at Sagamore Spirit Terp Nation, okay? So we have the lemon juice, we have that honey simple syrup, we have that cask strength. Awesome, that means it's time to mix. But I'm gonna give you guys a nice little bartender secret on how to chill a glass if you have unwanted company. Because as I've mentioned before, sometimes you gotta make things on the fly. So today I will be housing my sour in a coupe glass, which is this beautiful glass here. And again, if I get someone knocking on my door asking for a cocktail, I gotta improvise. So I'm going to take 1 scoop of ice and place it into whatever glass or cup I'll be using. Now we'll just let it sit. Typically I would do this before I make the cocktail, but here we are. But I will now add a scoop of ice into my mixing glass. While that in my other glass, just chilling. No pun intended, but it worked. So I will now grab my bar spoon. Remember how to use this, right? Nice, awesome. So I am going to, again, make sure the back of that spoon is on that glass as I am mixing. Beautiful. Oh, you're doing that so delicately. It's so cute. Nice. I love it. Okay, he got his shaker out again. I love it. It's beautiful. His sour's gonna come out the best. Did you put egg whites in yours too? Are you trying to be that fancy? Yeah, he's smiling. Nice. Awesome. So now that I have my ingredients all mixed up, everything is chilled down, I'm gonna grab that Hawthorne strainer again that I have. Again, if you have a slated spoon, if you have your hand, or if you have your prayers, it all works. But I am now going to take that glass that I put some ice in, just so that glass can be a little chill. I'm gonna get rid of that ice, so now I just have a cold glass. Ah, that worked, didn't it? Well, hopefully it worked for you. It did work for me. Hopefully you take my word for it. But I am now going to take said cocktail and strain it into my coupe glass. Beautiful. And as I've mentioned, we should have a nice little garnish. If you do have a lemon wedge or slice or wheel or whatever you have, it'd be great to incorporate it right now. But then again, I have another dehydrated lemon with me today. So I'm gonna be extra because I can do that. And I'm gonna put that in my glass for today to have my beautiful sour and coupe. And that, ladies and gents, is the second cocktail, at least with me, for the day. Oh, you have martini glasses, I love it. Oh, it's beautiful. It looks like, it's so picturesque. John, I'm convinced you do this a lot. You have all the, yeah, you have all the tools. The sleeves are rolled up. It's amazing. I love it. Nice. Well, out of the two cocktails, everyone, do we have a favorite thus far? And feel free to unmute yourself if you would like, or even just drop it in the chat.
In the 70s, didn't they use maraschino cherries as the garnish?
Oh, so the fun thing about with sours, it varies depending on, of course, where you get it or who's making it, of course. But cherries are typically like a Manhattan or old-fashioned thing. A lot of people do put in old-fashioned, but it's typically for a Manhattan. I'm not a huge fan of cherries, but I love myself a sour, so I don't incorporate cherries into my sour. What I do like to incorporate, though, is egg whites. So as I was saying earlier, and making fun of John a little bit, about he probably put egg whites in his, because egg whites actually does help the texture and, of course, the taste of a sour. But there are a lot of different ways that you can make a sour. Everyone has a preference, but cherries aren't the typical, but everyone has preferences, I've mentioned.
I think I like the whiskey sour the best.
Nice. And how do we like the cask incorporated this time? It's nice, right? Okay, I saw a couple thumbs up. I like it. Nice. I love your background. Is this Miss? I can't see. I'm so sorry. Is that Wanda?
Wida.
Wida. Okay. I'm sorry.
It's actually a picture from the Fells Point Farmers Market.
Oh, I love it. I was like, that looks so familiar. I feel like I've been there before. Nice.
Eileen wants to know.
Thank you.
Go ahead. Go. I'll go. Eileen wants to know, do we sell blackberry simple syrup, the black-eyed rye, and or have the cocktail recipe?
Oh my gosh. That is a yes to all of three of those. So we do sell the blackberry simple syrup. It looks very similar to the spiced cranberry that we used earlier today. Also comes in a 16 and an 8 ounce, which you can purchase here at the visitor center as well as online. And we do have a black-eyed rye canned cocktail, which again is also available on the website, in here, and your local spirit shop. And I'm not sure which cocktail card you all got today, but the one that I have today has the black-eyed rye on it. So so yours is slightly different than mine, which is completely okay. But we do have the black-eyed rye recipe located on our website as well. So if you would like to go to sagamorespirit.com and click on the cocktails tab, everything you were looking for is right there. And I'm pretty sure Christine is also putting the information into the chat, so you can reference that a little bit later. Nice. Any other questions we have, Christine?
If we don't have honey simple syrup, can we substitute with regular simple syrup?
Absolutely.
As well as honey?
100 times, yes. So sours are typically made with a regular simple syrup. We just added honey this time because I just decided to be a little extra sweet today in the spirit of Valentine's Day. But yes, you can use a regular simple syrup or any simple syrup at that point. However you like to incorporate, whatever flavors you like to incorporate into your cocktail, be my guest. I've actually tried a lavender simple syrup with this one as well for like a nice little lavender lemon situation. It was beautiful. But yeah, just the fun thing about simple syrup is it's called simple syrup because it's the easiest thing to make. It's just half sugar, half water. You just let that boil together, you have simple syrup. So if you want to substitute your regular sugar for anything else, like the honey would be a substitute, or if you would like to make cranberry simple syrup, of course you would still do regular, but this time you would put some cranberries in and let that steep for a little bit. But there are so many different ways to make different types of simple syrup. And you can always substitute that in any cocktail that you would like. So you do not need honey simple syrup in order to create a sour.
Could you put fresh blackberries in the blackberry one?
You could put fresh blackberries in it. However, it would not act the same as a simple syrup would. Having a blackberry syrup means it is like a more sweetened blackberry because it's sugar and blackberries. So it's more of like I'm not gonna say a puree because of course it's just a syrup, but it's a little more beneficial if you use a simple syrup. You had a regular simple syrup and muddled your own blackberries in it for the flavor. Same thing. As long as you have a regular simple syrup, you have everything. Nice. Awesome. So everyone's feeling great. Everyone made great cocktails. I'm super proud of all of you and all the creativity that you use to make these cocktails. Lena, how you feeling?
I'm feeling good. Better if I had a cocktail. Thank you so much, Kia and Christine, for leading our session this evening. I hope that all of our terps tonight will think about heading out to the distillery so they can enjoy Sagamore in person. I also want to thank all of you terps for joining us this evening for our cocktail making session. Now you have at least 2 drinks that you can make for friends and family. So congratulations on that. Please take pictures if you haven't already consumed your beverages and post them to Instagram using the @Maryland_alumni tag. And once again, this concludes our session. I just want to say have a great evening and go Terps.
Yay, go Terps. It was a pleasure seeing all of you. I hope you enjoyed the cocktails, but above everything else, please stay safe.
Thank you.